Hello traders, and welcome back to my YouTube channel IPDATrader. Now in today's video we're going to be taking a look at this EURUSD buy position that I executed this week, more specifically this Monday. And remember guys that the aim of this channel is to provide you with the information and tools so that you can go ahead and trade the markets the way you want. I will never be telling you exactly when to sell and when to buy, because I will not be putting your money at risk. Remember that every time you open a position, there is a probability that you are going to win and there is a probability that you are going to lose. So always keep that in mind, right? And we're going to be taking a look at this trade in regards to the algorithm perspective and delivery, and really using everything that I've been teaching in this channel for a little bit of time now, and you can see how these things actually make sense, occur, happen. It's just up to you if you want to take the time, put the effort, and actually dedicate yourself to understanding what is actually occurring over here, right? But before we actually dive deep into the explanation of this trade, let me quickly show you some pictures over here, right? And this is not the right one. I believe we should be able to, oh yes, there we go. So this is a screenshot that was sent to the private community over here. Let me actually zoom in a little. You can see sort of the same setup occurring over here, right? We have the buy position, we have a target area, and this is important. We're going to be covering that a little bit later, but we have the buy position over there with the take profit in that area over there. And as you can see, this was sort of the play and bias that I was expecting for EURUSD, and this was actually given out to the private community way ahead of time, because we do have weekly outlooks video, market updates, whatever you really want to call it, where we sort of cover the main pairs and establish bias and potential direction for the upcoming week. And I can very clearly remember that we said that we were expecting sell pressure in EURUSD. We understood that we were currently in a retracement leg and that we wanted to see sells at areas over here so that we can then take price lower, right? And all this trade was me playing the buys into the longer term sells that actually occurred. And if we look at EURUSD very quickly, right, you can see where EURUSD actually sold off. If we go back to the charts, you can see that this is the same price point that actually EURUSD decided to turn around and continue melting lower. So you can see that this is not hindsight. This is actually information that was given ahead of time. You can see that the timer over here, I know the quality is pretty bad, but you can see the timer over there, and this is not hindsight sort of replay tool. This is actually the live market, and this was sent on the 8th of November, right, just as the trade was barely executed. So if we look at the next picture over here, we should be able to see that on 9th November, pretty much a day after the initial picture, EU buys closed right over here, right? EURUSD buys close, looking to take sells as per weekly outlooks. So you can see once again that I actually decided to close my position over here in order to hunt sell positions as per weekly outlook perspective, right? Because the expectation was still to see sells, and that is actually exactly what happened over here, right? If we go once again back to the charts, we zoom out of this picture, we go back to the charts, you can see that this is the same area where EURUSD sold off. You can go ahead and look at your charts and you will see that that is the same thing. But now, with all that being said, guys, we're going to be diving deep and sort of breaking this trade down. So traders, we're back on the charts, and let's actually get started over here, right? So this is the information that we have at this point. As you can see, I've removed some of the drawings, and let's start sort of breaking this down over here, right? So take a second, pause the video, and try and see what's happening over here, right? So really take a second and pause the video. I'm assuming you've already done that. So let's actually continue over here, right? First thing we can see, and this is where market timing actually comes into play, right? We can see that the previous week, which was on 5 of November 2021, actually finished over here, and that this candle right here was the start of the new trading week, right? So what information do we have? Well, we can identify that we've created some sort of relative equal highs at this area over here. You can see they're pretty much equal, so liquidity is over there. That's the first thing, right? We have liquidity sitting on top, and if we zoom even more into this particular fractal over here, this is, if you watch my Forex daily cycle video, you will understand what I'm going to be teaching you now, right? So we look over here. First thing we want to do, as always, is to know this Sydney range from 10 till 12 over here. So now we have a Sydney low and a Sydney high. This is where the algorithm resets. So you want to be paying attention to this particular point in time, right? So we see that in regards to structure, however, we have information that looks something like this, right? And if we zoom into a higher time frame, we understand that we were absolutely bearish. I'm not going to be getting into details, but we understood that we were bearish and that we may have a potential retracement leg into the continued sales, which is what occurred over here. Right, so let's zoom back into the lower time frame. Now you have sort of a little bit of a higher time frame perspective, right? So we look over here. We see the Sydney high, we see the Sydney low. Asia comes in, right? We don't take the Sydney high. This is important. Sydney high is still over here. We come back down. We reach below the Sydney low, we take that out, and as soon as we do that, you can see that we print the Asia low right at 2 a.m., which is essentially what I always teach. We print the low at 2 a.m. right after taking the Sydney low over here. And as you can see, we do that and we leave this area over here untested. So we understand that below this area right here, below this Asia low, we have liquidity. So what do? We print the low at 2 a.m. We retrace back up right over here. Frankfurt comes into play and takes the Asia low out into this point of interest. Then we move up over here, right? Test midline POIs, as I always teach. We can see that we sort of test this area because this area is very likely to see many reactions and that sort of stuff. So we do that, we test the midline, and we move back into the point of interest and we move aggressively higher. Reason being is because we have a huge amount of liquidity sitting on top and we are in a retracement leg, so you know that buy positions can be taken into the longer term sales, right? We can see that we have let's look over here. We have double top liquidity. We have Sydney high liquidity and Asia high liquidity at the same time over there because they're sitting at the same place over here. And now we know that, hey, if we take the low first, we have a high probability of taking the high after that, especially now that we have the narrative and idea that we are retracing and that we want to take buys into longer term sells. So we take that into a structure point, we move away, we come back down, we aggressively trade higher and take the Asia high over here. So I'm not going to be getting into the entry, but the entry was executed somewhere around this area with the stop loss being kept below the structure point because I knew if we are going to be trading below this low, we have a lot of imbalance over here, so we're likely to see price move in a swift move down, and I don't want to be in that position because we understand that imbalances get filled, and if we have imbalances to the left, we should be filling that offering sell side because the market once again needs to have balance, needs to be balanced out, and this is going to be filled as sell positions and sell pressure if we actually want to be filling that, right? Whenever we actually do that. So We understand that bit of information as well. As you can see, there's multiple things. You have to piece it yourself together. So we print the low at 2 a.m. We take it out in Frankfurt. We retest the midline, and now London comes in, pushes up, takes the Asia high out, and this is actually where the first partial was taken over here, right? Once again, even though it was some sort of a very high RR position, I still took partials over there because I knew that, hey, we may want to take the high and reverse once again. And this is actually what we did, right? We traded above the Sydney and Asian high. We traded above the double top liquidity, reversed, and price offered you a nice re-entry if you actually wanted to do that, right? If you were not sure, hey, you could have very well just waited for this point over here that we trade perfectly back into at this point, and we move aggressively higher. Now, going back to targeting, where are we going to target? Well, I was targeting in regards to the weekly outlooks video, right? And what I was expecting if we take the higher time frame into consideration, which was absolutely sells. So we can drag this to the upside, and I closed somewhere around this area because obviously I'm not going to be holding my position if I'm missing 2 pips till the zone, because I know that we can get liquid reactions and I don't want to be losing all that profit. And by the way, I think that I took more profit into some area over here, but the position was collapsed as we traded over here, which was when the bias changed back to bearish, because now the retracement leg was done and a new expansion leg was likely to begin to the downside. So I didn't want it to keep holding my longs and wanted to get short, right? I believe we tried to catch some sells over here. Unfortunately, we never got an entry, but we actually took the Asia high out over here and moved lower. So this was pretty much the trade that I wanted to present to you guys. There is more information to it, but this is what I can show on the YouTube channel over here, right? Remember the liquidity pools, remember the different sessions, the different aims. I will say it once again. Each and every single session has a job to fulfill, wherever that be, sort of take liquidity out or engineer liquidity for the upcoming session. You need to think of sessions as specific times during the day where things have to occur and unfold. And we can see over here that during Asia, we engineered liquidity, we stacked liquidity on top so that we could then in London take all that out and move higher, right? We took the Sydney low out, we print the low right at 2 a.m. We move a little bit away because we've now taken a liquidity pool. We are coming into that Asia low high time during the day, move away. Frankfurt takes the low out. London sort of tests that same area once again, move aggressively higher. You take the Sydney, the Asia and Sydney high over here. You can be done for the day, right? You don't need to stress yourself. You can see pretty smooth and easy trade. Now we sort of take partials, leave runners or even more volume into those discounted areas that should then expand the leg lower, which is exactly what we get. As you can see, from the point where I said, hey, I'm closing my buys, I'm thinking we are now going to continue lower because the retracement leg is now over. This is what we actually did, right? We then started moving lower and there were some nice sells to be caught, which unfortunately I missed, but that's okay because we understand that we cannot be part of every single move and we have to sort of stick to some guidelines or rules that we can follow, right? So with all that being said, that is going to be the end of the video. I really hope this provided you some insight and you will understand this video much better if you have watched previous videos such as the Asian session strategy, which should pop up right now, so you can go ahead and watch that. You will see how I'm teaching the same idea and principle. So that is going to be it, guys. I wish every single one of you good and profitable trading, and I will see you guys very soon.